about 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, July something or other at Culinary School for the Arts in 2014. And we are all lying on our mats in whatever way is comfortable, either with our feet up, so that our feet on the floor so that our knees are up in the air, or with our legs extended. You can sit with your hands on your abdomen or next to you on the floor, at your chest, at your pelvis, wherever feels comfy. Fingers laced, palms open, palms face up, palms face down, whatever feels comfortable for you. And I'll lead us through some other things. The idea of this again is that if you spend about 20 minutes, it takes about 20 minutes for the nutrients in the discs between your vertebrae to re-equilibrate, I guess is the word I'm trying to come up with, so that you get a little bit of space between those discs to relieve some of the pressures that your body goes through every day on experiencing gravity. All of you have done some mapping, so you know that there are curves to your skull and spine. So right now you might experience the back curve of your skull into the floor. You can just allow your head to release into that curve. You can nod your head somewhere between yes, no, some sort of a wobbly shape that you're drawing on the ceiling with your nose, just to remind your neck, the back of your neck, that it can be free as it curves up toward the ceiling. So just making the tiniest little gesture with your nose, just to find the spot where that skull meets the cervical vertebra. And that's, again, that cervical curve moves up in space towards the ceiling. Lying on top of your cervical vertebra is your esophagus. Every time you swallow, you'll feel it move there. Underneath your trachea, your air tube. And you might feel that if you let your jaw fall away from your skull, your jaw may just fall any direction it wants, in and down. And then if you're able to release your tongue inside your mouth, tracing its relaxation all the way into your throat, the root of your tongue can release. If all of that is true, then you might feel that your trachea is free. Just going for a ride there on top of your neck. Your eyes can release in your sockets, can go soft. You can soften and breathe, just maybe breathe through the top of your nostrils. Think about breathing in through the top of your nose. See if that releases and relaxes the palate, back of your throat. Your forehead can go smooth. Your ears can sink one away from the other, just down the side of your head onto the mat. Even your brain can sink into the back of your skull, just floating there gently. At any time, you can move your legs if you want to shift your hands, shift your legs, come back to wobbling, yes, no, maybe, somewhere in the middle. You're always invited to do any of those things, just to check in. So the curve of the back of your skull you can feel the curve of your neck moving towards the ceiling. And then at C7, in the low C7, you can start to feel the curve of your ribs. So you might feel the back of your ribs connecting with the mat. They might be cradled by your shoulder blades. So your shoulder blades are cradling your ribs, which are cradling, holding your lungs. You're more towards the back of your body and higher up on you. Remember, you have lung material higher than your collarbones. So you can really feel the fullness of your lungs as you inhale. Nothing you have to do, just something you can sense. And every time those lungs inhale, it massages the muscle of your heart, which keeps working. And you can feel that curve of those lungs those thoracic vertebra as you breathe. And the curve of your lower back, curving up away from the mat. And you might feel your abdomen, any tension that's there in your belly, you can just release. And let all of your viscera just drape over that lumbar spine. All the organs inside your belly can just relax. The base of your spine, your sacrum, you can feel it contacting the floor and the back halves of your pelvis. You might do a little gentle tail waggle, tipping or tucking or wobbling your tail just a little bit. Just to feel that sacrum. You can also move the tiniest little movement. Just the tiniest little movement. Sensing a hollowness at the base of the femurs where your leg bones meet your hips. Maybe there's just an open, hollow feeling there. So that you can find some release in your hip sockets, and your legs can feel free. If you need to adjust your feet so they're maybe closer together, farther apart, out wider, so that you feel like you don't have to do any extra effort to hold your knees up if your knees are up. If your legs are extended along the floor, you can feel that your feet can just fall open wherever they wish to go. No matter where your knees are, if they're up or down, you might think about just rocking them really tiny side to side. Just having a really tiny, tiny little, maybe an inch or 2 inches either direction, just to feel an openness in the hip socket. So even if your feet are extended along the floor, you might feel a little rotation where that femur bone meets your pelvis. Sense if your feet are on the floor, your heels making contact, some weight coming down through your heels, and then pouring through all parts of your foot. So you can feel the width of your foot and the length. Your foot feeling wide across those bones. Thank you. The arch of your foot away from the mat. Releasing anything in your ankles. Now that we've been through the whole body, just stand, take a nice breath in. Again, to the top of your nostrils, and just notice if there's any place where you can let go even more. Anything you're holding on to in your wrists. Check in again with your jaw. Your eyebrows, toes. And just invite that to go into the mat. Just having some awareness of not having to do anything but allow breath in and out of the body. So there's a sense, instead of having to breathe, that you are being breathed. Right? It's just happening on its own. Notice if your thoughts start to wander somewhere, just invite them to come back to your breath. Pay attention to the quality of your thoughts. And invite them to relax. There's nowhere you have to be. There's nothing you have to be doing. Let all the loops unwind. One of my teachers just calls this surrender. Just surrender. And you might bring some attention to your fingers. Notice what they feel like as they sit there, whatever they're doing. And just feel like they can get curious about moving. They can get curious about wiggling. Your toes might get curious about wiggling. Slightest little wiggles. Those fingers and toes might translate into some wiggles of your ankles and wrists. It's gentle little movements. Check in again with your head. You might draw another little figure eight or silly little shape on the ceiling with your nose. Tiniest little shape, just to release your head and neck. You might wag your tail just the slightest little bit. Feel like your sacrum and spine are still awake. And it seems that folks want to stay in this position, so we'll stay here for a little bit longer.